Alright, let's get started because I'm about to create a loop. I'm short on time. Alright, so quick run through BTC, what my thinking is. So, with BTC, if you remember the last time we went over it on our live stream, talked about why are these so big? They shouldn't be that big. So I talked about two potential scenarios where from here we hold and move up, and that means that was a really shallow ABC, or we get this ABC. It's a deeper correction. So either this was the shallow one, or it went a little bit further. It looks like it came back down, didn't go down as far as I thought it would, but it held right at the 382, right at a crucial EMA. So in the earlier videos about my 10K model for BTC, I was talking about different types of corrections. I had called an expanded flat that it was a running flat. Nobody else even thought that that was a running flat on BTC at the time, and it ended up being perfect call. It was right down here before the last final run up, last parabolic move. So identifying that was huge for my model. My sub count ended up being perfect for that subwave, which led to a really, really great entry on a lot of stuff. But more recently, we've been having this correction. And if you look back at the videos before with the 10K model, I was talking about different correction depths. How deep do you really correct? Sometimes you correct to the 382. Sometimes you'll correct to the 50% fib retracement. It depends. On this one, I don't know why I'm drawing a new fib retrace, because I have one. So on this one, right, so this was my 10K count where I had, originally it was 10K, and then I revised it to go even higher because we just kept going, right? So that was where my target was, and then I extended it, which went exactly to a 2618 extension instead of the 1618 extension around 10K that I was expecting. So we ended up getting a pretty massive run at the end of that latest bull run. That completed the major first wave. So a while ago I made a video which talked about the potential for BTC, and I said this is why 2019 could be an amazing year for BTC, and then I did another one where I said, bulls, relax, I'm with you, I'm bullish too, but BTC has to correct. It's going to correct. It's going to drop 30% of its total value at times. And that's exactly what just happened. People were freaking out. Oh, you're such a bear, because I would say BTC is about to have a really big correction. It's going to drop a couple $1,000s in value. This is back when it was at 7,000-8,000, and a lot of people were freaking out. So I made a video where I went through the last bull run, and I showed how on multiple instances you would have a 30 or 40% retrace of the entire value of Bitcoin. It would go from 10,000 and it would go back down to 6,000. So it would lose 40% of its total value. And that's normal. And people were freaking out when I would make that suggestion, like I was becoming super bearish or something. That's exactly what we see here. In this case, so on that, what I was saying about that other video where I said sometimes you'll only retrace to the 236, I was explaining scenarios where it's extremely and just absurdly bullish, or parabolic like we've been running, right? And in these scenarios, when you're hyper bullish like that, it's not atypical to retrace really shallow to like the 236. Since this is a major count, this is the major wave one, which is all the way from back in December. This is from 3,200 on all the way up to here was that first main wave. And then we have a correction. That correction, in theory, should be a deeper correction given how long that's been running. But since we're so bullish, I'm okay with taking a position where you have a more shallow retrace. In this case, I would have liked to see a retrace to the 50% fib retrace at 8,500, but it stopped at the 382 retracement. So I think we're done correcting, especially considering how close we ended up at one of my target fib levels. The fact that we got that close, not only were we near the 10,000 support, but when we did dip down, we caught such massive support right from the 382. So that means that we lost 38.2% of Bitcoin's run, right, on this wave one from the bottom up. The total value of Bitcoin, in theory, dropped on this correction about 30% change. So that's a pretty solid correction. We went from about 14,000, pretty close to 14,000, back to 9,800. That's a steep drop. It's over $4,000 off the total market cap of Bitcoin. That's substantial. That's quite substantial. So I think that's a sufficient correction at this point. I don't see the need to have a bearish model here that goes even deeper. This is perfect. We got to bounce right off the 382. We immediately rebounded very, very strongly. We're seeing dramatic buy volume. We're seeing consistent volume. Um, it's comparatively, we're seeing more volume now than we were during the beginnings of that last parabolic run that took us all the way up to 14K. I think this is the start of the next major wave 3. The next major wave 3 could potentially go as high as 18,000. Could actually go up into the 20,000 range. But I'll zoom out and show you guys. We've been working on this Bitstamp chart. I actually shared my trade on this Bitstamp chart just because I had it up, even though I did it on Coinbase Pro, because the values were pretty much identical. So I was 5.5% up. Now I'm like 4.3% up on this trade since I went all in on BTC. As soon as I got across the 55 EMA, I was like, all right, we're probably gonna retain our bullish movement here and gain some momentum and keep pushing through the cloud, and that's what's happening now. When we get to the top of the cloud, we'll see if it breaks through, and then we have another substantial resistance between 12.2K and 12.4K. So pretty much right where we maxed out on this AB, right? So that AB following the wave 2 is an ABC. Oops. Jesus. So that ABC. ABC's 535. We could even find a nice clean sub count in there too. Where would wave 5 be? No, that would retrace too far. I would have to look at this thing on a 15-minute. I don't really care. I'm not going to spend time on this. I'm just curious for a minute. That would be too shallow of a retrace. There's no clean count there. That first dump just went too deep. Yeah, I wouldn't use that count. I'm not really going to spend any time doing that. I don't have enough time. But anyway, I could probably find a count that was valid in that A wave, but I don't really care. Anyway, everything about this looks perfect. So everything about it tells me that we're bullish and moving up. I've already gotten to the point where I could have a risk-free trade. I can move my stop loss up high enough because there's actually a minor support here. I can move my stop loss up high enough so it's right around my entry. And then I'll have a completely risk-free trade. I can't possibly take a loss. Worst case scenario, I break even. I'm not going to do that just yet because I really like what I'm seeing here, and I think it's going to push up above that. What is that? That's the 236. So it's butting. You can see how much resistance we're getting from the 236, right? So we were moving up pretty solidly, and then boom, get rejected. 2 hourly candles in a row. Well, that's 15 minutes. So we're going to be on 1 hourly candle. 1 hourly candle so far is getting rejected right at the 236, and who's to say that's going to be it? I would bet we might actually hold to the 236 and get a couple more candles rejected there before we push through. But I think we are going to push through. Then when we get through the 12.2K resistance, that's starting to look a little better. The next fib is not until the prior top, really, which is at almost 14K, so I don't have to worry about that just yet. But you can look at prior horizontal support and resistance, like at 12.4K. Not a very significant one, up at the 13K region, and there really isn't a lot of resistance up there. Think about how quickly we moved. It was a parabolic run. We didn't really encounter any resistance, right? There was some minor resistance, right, where this 236 is, right? Resisted, resistant, but it's a little bit lower, obviously. Over here, we had some support from the 236, then resistance from the 236, broke down, bounced off the 382, and now resistance from the 236. You can't say Fibonacci is not heavily incorporated into every Bitcoin trading algorithm, because look at this, right? Bitcoin is trading perfectly and bouncing between two fibs. So when you have a count that's this accurate, where it looks perfect, everything looks like it's coming together, and then you have a 382 target and a 236 fib that are both possible support and resistance on your count, and you get major support on this major correction, completely stops at the 382. Now you're taking note and you're saying, wow, maybe my count's on point, because that fib really was the perfect support, right, for that correction. Well, now we're getting into our next impulse, and we're getting a really strong rejection from the 236. I mean, precisely. It's almost to the dollar. That's really close. So that gives me a lot more confidence that my model is on point so far. It could still fail. We could still drop down to 5,000 right now. I'd be wrong, and right now I'd lose 2.75% of my investment in Bitcoin. Everybody needs to have a stop loss on every trade, and you don't really have to worry. Right now, I'm already up 5%. I can move my stop loss up and make it a risk-free trade. I'm choosing to accept the risk and leave it out there right now, because if there was a quick wick or something, I wouldn't want to get stopped out on like a quick sell-off candle before it goes on a big run. You never know. This market gets crazy. You guys know that better than anyone. So that's what I'm thinking. Like I said, I don't have a lot of time. 4th of July stuff this week. My dad's here visiting to see the babies. I want to go spend the rest of the night with him. Yeah, don't have a lot of time. But if you got anybody has any questions, we could do a couple quick questions. I'm not in Discord now. I am now. Okay, so I'm in crypto chat. Ask me questions there because I don't want to go back and forth to the. Oh, you know what? We got premium people in voice. Let me jump in the voice channel. Forgot to do that because you guys get priority anyway. Any premium people in voice? Can you guys hear me? Anybody on Discord voice? Whoever hacked me is actually in the group. Which is weird because they were in the group. They should have known that like crypto. Oh Jesus, I can't breathe. We'd be safe. All right, nobody has any questions from on the voice channel. Anybody on the non-voice channel have any questions in Discord?
I got a question.
Hey, yeah, what's up?
So you're all in BTC. You posted a link trade earlier? Do you think that that's decent short term, or would you still be in?
So I'm still in that trade. So what I mentioned before, I talked about how the trades that I share in these charts aren't my exact trades. Like that, I never share my entry and my stop loss for a few different reasons. If you know what they are, you can see when they were on the order book, but that doesn't really concern me. It's more my stop loss. If I share my stop loss, then everybody else is going to use the same stop loss. I got in lower here before we bounced back up, pretty much at the bottom of this sell-off. So my stop loss is pretty safe. It's actually right below where the 55 is right here. So I just got saved by the top of the cloud here. The 55 is right there. So hopefully I'll stay in this trade because it looks like it's bouncing nicely. If you got into the trade when I posted it and you use the stop loss I have right here and you got stopped out, you're out of the trade. That's fine. I wouldn't jump back in. I don't think it's any huge run is necessarily guaranteed. I wouldn't get aggressive and jump back in. I'm moving to BTC with the exception of whatever few trades I have open. Because I think what we would see is, if you remember the last time we had the last push up, it was several days of BTC going on a massive run before the alt started getting a taste, right? And I talked about that in earlier videos where I went through how there's a sequence where usually you have Bitcoin runs up and then Bitcoin comes down as the alts run up. And then as things equalize and more overall market value is going into the market in general, the entire crypto market cap is going up at equal rates, then you see BTC and alts rise simultaneously. And that's exactly what happened. It went through that exact sequence that I predicted, where we went from one to the other and then to both of them together. So in theory, that could happen again. I think the way this run would start, if I'm right. Now, if I'm wrong and we drop from here and correct further, right? If Bitcoin corrects further, I think, did we break through that 236? Look at that. This has got some powerful movement to it. Look at that. This candle was getting held up at the 236 for a while and it finally pushed through. But you could still see how strong of a resistance it was by the first candle getting rejected. And if you break it down to like the 15-minute chart, you'll actually see 3 15-minute candles consecutively get rejected before it broke through. Or at least 2, because it's at 25 minutes on the hourly. But anyway, my point being that with Link and with any of the alts, I don't know if I would jump into them over BTC, because with BTC, again, I could be wrong and we could drop to 6,000, but if I'm right and this correction is over and that 382 really was the perfect bottom for that, I was busy with family stuff and getting hacked, or I would have bought at that 382 because I was watching it for a while. When I had drawn it, I was like, all right, we have the 236 would be a really shallow correction. The second we broke through that on this first leg, I was like, all right, either that was just an ABC or that was just the first leg and we still have a B and a C wave. And if that's what happens, the 382 would naturally be the next target, and it held up so perfectly. So given that fact, I feel like BTC is indeed going to push up here, and I think we're going to see the same thing. The next 24 to 72 hours, we're going to see primarily BTC go on a super run, while all the alts lag behind. Some of them hold their own and keep up with BTC, but I think BTC could push through, like, by the end of the 4th of July weekend, up to 15,000, 16,000. I wouldn't be surprised if that happened by the 7th or 8th. Because we were running parabolic prior to that, so that would give us, what, 4 days might not be enough to get up to... yeah, it would be. I mean, it was before, but I don't think we're going to run as aggressively as we did. All right, maybe it'll take a little bit longer to like the 10th to get back to that 15,000. Although in this chart, it looks like we maxed out on the Bitstamp one at 13.8. No, that's right. We never got to 15. 14, I was thinking. So yeah, we could probably get back to in another week or so. We could probably be back at 14K, if not sooner. If we start running the way we are right now, just straight up, we'll be back there in a day. I don't think this is going to sustain. I think we are going to have a small correction. Ideally, this is best case scenario. We move up to this 12.2K resistance, get rejected, come back down, retest this 236, and then move up from there. That would be the perfect 1-2 into wave 3, which will carry us all the way up potentially back to 15K region. Would be that sub wave 3. And then it corrects again, maybe bounces right off the prior top at 13.8, so it goes up to 15. This is just a rough count of what I could see if my theory is right. If my thesis is correct, and we bottomed out on this correction, and now we're back in the next impulse, this is how I would like to see it play out. 1, 2. Oh, that wouldn't work. It would have to be. No, it could make 15. Yeah, it could make just about 15. 15.05 maybe. 15.50. And then we can run up a bit further, and that would still only be subwave 1 of wave 3. So wave 3 could potentially take us up into the stratosphere. Overall, this is main wave. I'm going to zoom out one more time, and let me just see how close that wave 3 is to a 1618 extension real quick, which is my favorite wave 3 target, as most of you should know. I would say I roughly drew the 3 pretty close to the 1618. I do it with the naked eye because I'm so used to 1, and then I can just estimate in my mind what 1 plus 61.8% is. I don't know how I do it, but I do it. That would be perfect. And then it goes back down to that prior top, bounces, moves up again into the next leg, probably getting close to, if not to 16K, maybe right at the cusp. This is best case scenario, how I want to see it play out. So if we keep moving up and we push through the 236 and hold, and we get up to 12.2 and get rejected, every one of you is going to be thinking, wow, Jesse's model might be pretty on point. Then if we get support from the 236, buy cocaine and strippers because I am on fire if that happens. All right, any other questions? That's my general outlook. Let me just zoom out and remind you guys, if you haven't looked at my chart in a while for my overall 10K analysis of the different changes we've made to it since, try to ignore all the big text boxes. But this whole run from the bottom, back in last December, right? December of 2018, all the way up to now was all one huge wave 1. And I have it subdivided perfectly. I mean, this count is perfect. I haven't found anybody who's challenged it, said anything that's wrong with it. I've done like 5 or 6 videos where I've shared it with everybody on Twitter. I haven't even kept it just to the group. So I'm pretty sure that people are in agreement that this is a valid possibility. That was wave 1. This is wave 2. Now we go into wave 3. So considering wave 1 went from 3,000 to 14,000, imagine what wave 3 can do. The 1618 extension from wave 3 would be 28.2K. Could we get up to 28.2K in the next 6 months? In theory, it's possible, and this is the model that would get us there. And then we still have another big correction, takes us back down to the low 20s. I would bet it would take us all the way back down to 20 if this actually were to play out. And then wave 5 could go all the way up into the 30s, and that's like a year away. That's over a year away. So anybody who says 50,000 Bitcoin this year is crazy. I don't see how that's really not possible. No matter how parabolic we are, no matter how much promotion and how much the public is getting into it, it's simply not going to happen. This gets cut off, and this is at September. So that's the end of the year is probably about December is right here before the end of wave 3. So even this model, my timing is never really perfect with these things, but even if my wave 3 is even remotely close, we're probably not going to even get up into the 20s. By the end of the year, we'll probably just be breaking up into the 20s. And I'm not good with the timing. It's possible we go to 50,000 in a week. It's possible it takes a year to get to 15K. I'm really bad at timing these things, but just roughly from what we're looking at, if the rough timeline of the first one proceeds for the next one, it's probably going to be around like in the low 20s by the end of the year if we get this extended bullish run that just lasts forever. But this is that wave 3 where I made a video and I said, guys, 2019 has the potential to be the biggest year in the history of crypto because we might be seeing the first ever impulsive wave 3 on an Elliott wave count after a massive correction. We never saw that after Mt. Gox, not like this. Well, actually, no, I guess we did. I wasn't around for it that early, though. So for most of us, this is the first opportunity we've had to see this impulsive of a run on BTC from the ground, from the beginning, from the ground floor, so to speak. Well, I've been holding a BTC long since 3,200. 3,280 was my bottom call, but I actually bought at like 3,400. All right, sweet. You think 11.5, then back to 10.5? Yeah, I gotta go, guys. So any last 30, 60 seconds? Anybody have any important questions they want to throw at me really quick before I sign off? Fago thinks that 11.5 will be a strong resistance. It was relevant here and here, I guess. You could make an argument that that's a minor support resistance. Over here, there was some rejections right there too, and then rejections here, and then support here. So that actually was a pretty good SR. So it's hitting it right now. So I think it's coming up on 11.5. I would say 11.450 is probably closer. 11.4, 11.450. It looks like we're getting some resistance there, and that gives us some confluence, right? Because that matches up with the 236. So the 236 resistance that I was predicting is pretty much on point with yours, Fago numero siete. It's Fago, so people know it's not faggot. Faggot would be insulting to faggots. It's Fago. Yeah. All right. So no questions, right? Discord, crypto chat. That's where I am right now. If anybody's asking anything, sounds like we're not. All right. I'll still be available if you guys need me in Discord. But that is my BTC count now. I'm all in. I have a couple open trades. One on Link. I think I have Algo. Obviously, is worth nothing. What else could I still have open? Maybe a BNB trade. Yeah, how much for that? How about that announcement? Listen to CZ's announcement. Everybody's like, oh, everybody better buy BNB. It just keeps going down. That might actually be a really good rebound play. BNB is really low relative to where it was. Man, when it breaks through $40, that's going to be historic for those guys. BNB could actually be a good trade now, and you can see there's a ton of support and resistance, like so many different levels. It used to be over here, now it's kind of shifted down. This range is still the same. That support's a little off, and this is where they always were. These are the old SRs from my chart going back months and months, but now it's changed so much. It's gotten so much more aggressive out there because so many people are vying for this thing. It pumped it up so much, the volume increase, that throws things out of whack on the downside, and you can see all these big candles. All right, that's it for now. But I will post any updates that I think of related to my BTC model and everything associated with that. If I have any other thoughts or any important notes, I will let you guys know. Let's see how we handle this resistance area. Me and him have the same resistance, 236 to 11.5. If we can break through that region, then this is definitely the count. If we get rejected here, that's fine. We'll probably bounce right off of this support too and move up again. Just kind of shift this count down a little bit. But this count itself could take us back up to our high. Back up to our most recent high, if not higher. All right. Talk to you guys later. Sorry this had to be so quick, but next time we'll have more time.